should
Yes,
see
ready.
recording. Think we're in business. Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sasha.
And I'm Dahi.
This is DNA Slot Cars, and we're going to be doing a podcast from George at Area 51 Raceway.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
How are you getting on today? Good.
Fine. Just doing a few things here and there around the house, but all good.
We tuned in to see you doing a bit of a test there with your Datsun new acquisition.
Yeah. What a great car.
Superb, aren't they?
Even when you tune it more and do more things, it's very fast. It gets faster. So
yeah, it's
very well built
funny.
car.
You know, when we were looking at the cars, and you try to almost you try to find, I guess, something, and I was like examining it close, even from a visual perspective, and they did a great job, and then when you see them running too, it's very smooth, and yeah, it's, as you said, just gets better when you tweak it. Knocked it out of the park for sure. We better let this lady get these questions. I hope they're not too difficult now.
Yeah.
Are they?
I'm sure they're not.
Maybe. Where do you live?
That should be an easy one.
North Carolina. I live by what's called gosh, now you even slipped my mind. So we live by a lake. I'm trying to remember the name of the lake. My mind's sorry. We're not far from a lake. We're a mile from a lake where they have boating and stuff like that. So we're in High Point, North Carolina. And it's
Nice.
Oak Hollow Lake is the name of the lake. Now I had to really,
Okay.
I think. So Oak Hollow Lake, we're a mile from Oak Hollow Lake. And
Yeah,
it's in High Point, and High Point is the is the capital furniture of USA. If you look up the city of High Point, they have like
we
a big
will.
dresser that's like a building. Look it
Okay.
up. It's kind of weird. It's
I'll pop
just
it
they
up on
have
screen actually.
it's a furniture capital. So when you
Okay.
talk about like furniture for homes, High
Mm-hmm.
Point is a central area to that.
Very cool. Very cool.
How did you get into slot cars? And how old were you?
The slot car thing really it started out with Sizzlers. So I don't know if you remember what Sizzlers were, Deity. Sizzlers were
Sorry,
the little Hot Wheel cars that you use what's called the juice box,
I lost you
and you
there for
would
a
charge a
second,
little
George.
miniature battery, and then you'd let them go on the track by themselves. And then
Okay.
Hot Wheels was the first introduction. I still collect Hot Wheels. And then after that was the slot car thing is when it was more introduced. Of course, the typical AFX 164,
Yeah.
Tyco, TCR was one I did as I got older. The
TCR.
Total
Okay.
Control Racing.
Right. I don't
Um,
know that one.
yeah, that one's from Tyco. So what it was it had what called a jam car, and
Mm-hmm.
all that would do is run like a ghost, and
Okay.
the cars would actually switch lanes to go around it. So it
Right.
would look it up. It's called Total Control Racing. That was one of the
Cool.
sets that I had that was fun. Not saying the other
Cool.
ones weren't because they were a single lane, but
Yeah.
that's kind of like really like say the grandfather of digital. It was analog, but
Yeah.
it had three how would you say 3 rails on each side, so it'd be a total of
Okay.
6. So then the car was able to like it would energize the car to go over to
Mm-hmm.
jam to the next lane, and then you could
Right.
swing over to pass the jam car. And the ones I
Yeah.
had were it was a Camaro, a blue
Mm-hmm.
Camaro, and a orange like Mustang, and it was like a red van or something. I can't remember. If you look it up, you'll probably see it, Total Control Racing. But that
Have a
was
look
one that
for
I
that.
really played with a lot.
Yeah.
Besides the Tyco stuff, I remember as a kid getting the card. And that was always exciting when you'd get a set, you'd look at the card and it would have all the individual cars that were
Yeah.
available. The chrome ones were the ones that I got. Some of the ones that were chrome colored.
Mm-hmm.
I had a shadow. I actually have a shadow that I rebought. I have in there. It's an actual
Really
or shadow car. So
cool.
that's basically how I did it. The age wise, I guess it was around a little bit. How old are you, Sasha?
Yeah.
How old are you?
8?
Yeah,
She
see,
forgot
so
as well there for a
around
second.
7 or 8 year age. And then back then, it was the 70s. I was born in 68. So I mean that was, quite a different world back then. And toys were more slot car racing was more of a prevalent thing, not like what we have now with so much digital media. And
Yeah.
then we had Toys R Us, all those big
Mm.
chain stores that were exciting to go to because you were going there, you're gonna purchase something. And then,
Yeah.
family members. I did also trains, Tyco trains. I didn't really get to trains too much, but I had a train set. And
Yeah.
I still
Cool.
have a train set um that's my grandson's. I have 2 of them, both for my
Cool.
grandsons, and they're Lionel trains. They make a whistle sound and they smoke. They're real old trains.
Yeah,
But
we have some. We've got some Lionel, well, O gauge, O scale stuff, and we have some HO stuff as well. So
yeah, it's
it's
it's it's fun. I
mm,
mean, it's really a lot of fun to have that stuff.
yeah, it
And
is. We're gonna build. I'm gonna get Sasha to help with for Sasha. I'm gonna build her a proper layout, a railway layout.
Mhm.
And I really enjoy the scenic aspect of it. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And get Sasha involved as well, like she did when we were doing our slot car track as well.
Yep, cool.
I had this little lady soldering last weekend actually, so prepping her for
Oh,
scratch
soldering?
building. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just gotta be careful with the iron because it gets hot. Because it's easy to burn yourself. I've done it before where it slipped and it hits your hand, and it's extremely
Yeah.
hot, and then you don't want it to hit the carpet, of course. So
Oh
you
no.
what you
That's
do is you
true.
get a silicone mat. I have a silicone mat because
Mm-hmm.
if you drop it on the silicone mat, the silicone isn't gonna burn. It isn't gonna,
Yeah.
it absorbs the heat.
Yeah. We have it's in the room now with a engineered flooring in it. So and then it's on a
Mhm.
big table as well. So
Okay.
hopefully that won't happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she did well. She did well,
Good.
George. I was impressed with her. Very
Yeah,
impressed.
the
She
whole
did.
the whole thing is being patient when you apply your flux, your liquid flux, and then
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing is you're physically heating up the brass or whatever the piece here is when you're doing scratch building. A lot of people don't understand is that they think it's gonna melt instantly. It
Yeah.
doesn't. You have to leave it on there and you gotta watch the solder.
Mm-hmm.
And soon enough it'll get hot and once it
Yep.
flows to the piece, you're good. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't. I think they get too impatient and then they just, well, it's not working, or they get the real thick solder
Mm-hmm.
which you don't need super thick solder, you get the thin braided one, branded one like, zero 0.8, have it on Amazon, the real thin stuff, because 'cause that'll melt quicker and it'll flow quicker. You don't need, like, big old chunk like you're actually welding and with a rod and a stick, so
Yeah, that's we did so I we have some Lionel fast track, and it's quite a big length around the room, and so in order to improve the continuity we connected that power from the central rail rather than relying on the joins, and it was just
right.
a good little tester for Sasha to try her first little bits and pieces on,
Yeah.
Mhm.
wasn't it?
Yeah. Trains are fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
What was the first slot car and set you ever owned?
Oh, he mentioned that one, didn't he?
Yeah, no, it's okay. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't really a slot well, for slot cars, it'd be probably the AFX stuff.
Yeah.
AFX was the first brand I ran into early on as a kid in the '70s.
Mm.
And then they're on, kinda, Tyco and then TCR, and no, those are the only 3 that I remember the most, upon with
Yeah.
Sizzlers and Hot Wheels.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, Hot Wheels. It was Matchbox for me, George, over my side of the world. Hot Wheels wasn't really a thing for me at all, actually. It
Yeah,
was
and that's because back, like, England and all the other places, like, where you're from I guess, from Australia, they really dealt with dinky toys and Matchbox, whereas Mattel was more on the side here of, the US, 'cause it was Mattel that made the Hot
yeah.
Wheels.
Yeah, it's I mean, being growing up in Ireland, I mean, obviously you're very close to the UK there, and I mean, so pretty much anything that was going on there, we had as well.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, definitely Matchbox were some of my earliest memories, and Scale Electric was the big
Mhm.
thing. And
Well,
then
that's all there was really in essence, it was just when you thought of when you never said slot cars there, it was Scale Electric, because that
even
was
when
the
we
only
got
really brand,
yeah, even
you
when
know?
we got an AFX set, it was called people called it Scale Electric.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a
Smaller
bit like
version,
vacuum cleaners. I mean, at the time, it was Hoover was the brand, and
Yeah, that's,
we
here
would
we have
say,
Hoover.
you're hoovering go and hoover up that mess or whatever. You know, it's like tablets. Everyone calls them. The youth of
Yep.
today call them iPads, don't they?
iPad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get named, hang a name on things, and it sticks.
Yeah. Exactly.
We love your channel name. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, about what was that again? About the channel?
We love your channel name. Can you tell us how that came about?
Area 51. So, I grew up in California and I lived there most of my life. I left there 7 years ago because the cost of living was high. My
Yeah.
mom was a big help with that. We lived with her for a while to save up money, and she helped us out with that to move here.
Yeah.
And she had a nice mobile home. Well, she still does have a nice mobile home park, real nice mobile home itself in a mobile home park.
Cool.
It was in a and it was in a city called Gilroy, California.
Right.
Gilroy, California, if you look it up, is the garlic capital of the world, and it smells like it sometimes. uh, she had a space, and it was numbered 51. So there was an odd thing that happened at her place was that actually tornado touched down, which is a rare thing in
Wow.
California, and it only touched down on her mobile home.
Oh
It didn't
no.
damage it too much, but what it did was pulled the carport and flipped it
Right.
over onto the roof of the house. That
Right.
was kinda odd, so then I kinda got that name from because that's where I set up the track when I started getting more, getting a Carrera, and,
Yeah.
I figured, "Yeah, hey, why don't we call this Area 51?" So, the name
It's
came
cool.
from Space 51, and
Yeah.
I've always liked science fiction, science fiction, Star Wars,
Oh, we love
Star
it.
Trek,
Big
all kinds
fans.
of stuff. I'm a sci-fi person, so
Yeah.
I figured, well, that's a good basis for, Area 51 to kinda decorate a track, and the idea was, when we got our own home, my wife
Mhm.
said, "Well, we'll get a house and we'll have a room, you
Mhm.
can have your slot car room." And that's what started it when I moved here is when I actually started more doing things to, for the
Yeah.
name of that Area 51 Raceway. I had to put the NC because I had to make sure that it's at North Carolina, not like Nevada. Because everybody associate, Area 51 with Groom Lake in Nevada, because that's where all that stuff
Yeah.
comes from.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I actually put on Close Encounters of the Third Kind for the girls
Yeah.
last night. Yeah, funnily enough, we
That
love
was quite a movie when it came out, it's pretty weird. The Hangar One
yeah.
Speedway, so there's another story to that one too, so you might as well get the
Mhm.
whole thing. So Hangar One Speedway, which is this track right here, the wood track.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at that emblem, there's a hangar.
Mm.
So there are the 2 largest hangars in the United States, I don't think in the world, but in the United States, is one in Akron, Ohio, and
Right.
there's one in Moffett Field in Mountain View, California. So I
Cool.
lived across from that airfield, Moffett Airfield, and which was a naval base at the time. Now it's kinda defunct now because, they cut down everything. There is,
Mm.
if you look it up, there's a large dirigible hangar, which they use blimps because before the United States would experiment with blimps, but there was too many
Yeah.
crashes, so they stopped. That
Mhm.
hangar I've been into and I've been inside it. It is
That's
an
cool.
extremely large hangar, and clouds form on the top and the inside of it. That's how tall it is,
That's
and it's
crazy,
got
isn't it?
these huge
Wow.
clamshell doors, but that's the emblem on there, and it was called Hangar 1, so that's
Yeah.
where I coined the name Hangar 1, and I made it Speedway instead
Yeah.
of
Awesome.
Raceway to define, to
Yeah.
differentiate the 2, so but that's what,
Yeah.
I had to thank Raul from Conquest Racing
Mhm.
made those 2 logos for me, and I really appreciate what he did for me on that because I mean, I didn't have a logo, and I kinda threw the idea out of him, and he made those pretty quick, and, I have to thank him for that and give him,
He's
credit for
he's
doing that
great
for
at
me. I really appreciate it.
yeah. He's great at doing that kind of thing.
Yep.
He's in his wheelhouse. He enjoys it. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's we like the name is cool as well. And but I was curious. Then we were curious on, you know, was it everybody always assumes that it's based around a certain thing where it may not be. So
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Where did you get your inspiration for your scratch built cars?
Oh, that really the inspiration was from Home Racing World. So, at the time, I was doing a lot of digital stuff and, just doing small videos,
Mm,
and then I ran across a video called the Stinker Chassis Build,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen those videos, but they're on Home Racing World. They're old videos, and it
Yeah, I've
showed
not
you how
seen.
to construct a brass chassis. It gave you
Mm-hmm.
all the materials, what to get, each step by step, how to put it together. And what
Mm-hmm.
I did was I built a car,
Yeah.
and then I sent it into one of his proxies because I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. I
Mm.
mean, I could do that. And I got soldering iron and the things to do it, and the materials, the brass, and I put it
Uh-huh.
together and I sent the car in, and the car got the fastest lap on the fastest lap challenge for the first go. It didn't win the
Nice.
race, but it got the fastest lap.
Mm.
And Harry was really, I don't know, I guess he was impressed by it. So he actually gave me a personal phone call and told me, hey, thank you for sending your car. And man, whatever you did, this thing is quick. I think he
Yeah.
really appreciated that I used the videos that he did, because that's what I had said. I followed what your video said, and this is what I built, and that's how our friendship really started. And again,
Cool.
it's I'm a big supporter of Home Racing World. It's a real great forum to
Yeah.
go into if you want to look at anything slot car related. I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse every time, but a lot of people don't really go to Facebook, can go to
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's a
Yeah.
really great resource because there's many sections. There's a digital section, there's a building
Right.
track section, there's 132nd, 143rd,
Yeah.
HO, 124th,
Yeah.
125th. It goes on, and then there's proxies from all over the place, from Canada to the US.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know if I've seen any from England or anything like that, but there's just a lot on
Mm-hmm.
there to absorb. So
Cool.
Harry's been a real, real good friend.
Yeah.
Still is a good friend for all the things he's done for me, and that's why our relationship really developed because he saw that I was really interested in doing the scratch belt, and that's one of the things that really is very inspiring when somebody first builds a car. That
Yeah.
that really gets Harry excited because he's
Mm.
seeing that people's actually are doing something like that and making an attempt. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not going to be perfect, but if you make an attempt,
Mm.
hey, you tried. That's the
Exactly.
whole key of it.
Nothing's. It only matters if you try.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no harm in trying.
Yeah. We'll have to get. I think we're gonna have to get this little lady involved. I was saying to Dave, shotgun when we were chatting about maybe I would do something in tandem alongside her because it was then, it would be easy then to sort of for me to do one beside Sasha to get her into it. I think that would be a good
Yeah,
idea. Yeah.
that's
Wait,
really
no,
true.
we can both build one car and we can race it against each other.
Do the
And a
same
lot of
car.
the videos that are out there,
Yeah.
they're not really complicated. So Frank, I don't know if you know Frank.
No, I don't
Frank from
think
New
so.
York was well. If you
Okay.
look on my channel, he actually built the car on a live stream. He put a chassis together for the first time. I was there, kind of guiding him along the way. If you
Yeah.
look at that video, that's kinda like an
Okay.
instructional because I'm telling him, "Hey, Frank, just put
Mm.
a little bit more heat here. Watch the solder flow." That car he built was a little Ford Galaxy, and it did really well when he sent it out to Harry. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's anybody could do it. You just gotta
Yeah.
look at it, and the chassis are simple. You could start out with something simple. You don't have to
Yeah.
go with anything, like, crazy, like making, like, a Sidewinder or a floating, like what Dave and I have done, rattle pan and floating
Yeah.
pod. It doesn't have to be that way. You can make a straight up chassis with rails, the
Yeah.
guide tongue, the motor bracket, the
Mhm.
axles, and go from there.
If I do the 60 M5 though, George, I
Mhm.
have to do something super complicated that could potentially go terribly wrong to match its real life counterpart.
Well, you could look at other videos too of other people that have done different ones. I mean, I've done different ones. I don't have like one set design. I just
Yeah,
kind of put it on the board and I kind of imagine it.
that's
And then,
cool.
I could unsolder it if I don't like something. And, you could
Yeah.
use piano wire besides brass. I have a lot of
Hmm.
piano wire. So,
Yeah. Is that so? Is the piano wire come from actual love of pianos or just something that you use then?
yeah, so you could get it from like Slot Car Corner, which
Hmm.
it's called piano wire. I don't the nickname really. I don't know if you really use it on a piano, but
Yeah.
I don't know the exact what term or why they call that, but it's like 60 thousandths of wire, 53 thousandths. There's different samples of
Yeah.
it. If you look at it, actually, obviously, like 50,000s or less, it's easier to bend. When you get above the actually, you get above 40,000, it's harder to bend, where
Yeah.
some are easier to bend by hand or by, pliers, not by
Yeah.
hand, but pliers. So you could use various different things for construction with piano wire and brass. If you
Yeah.
look up, I think they call it a jailhouse chassis. There's some people have
Okay.
done that looks like a jailhouse door or
Yeah.
jail door chassis. That's because 'cause they've used piano wire, and some people are really good at it.
Mm.
They really do a good job. There's some builders out there that are way better than I am, and those are the guys that have gotten into it, like Michael Squire,
Hmm.
Tad, all those guys, Jeff G. That's
Right.
the cool part because they get into it and they make some fantastic cars, and some of these
Right.
people think out of the box.
Mm.
Just, "I didn't think of doing that," and it's like, "I'm gonna try that." So it's nice. You
Yeah.
could take people's ideas.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's cool. I mean, it's as I said, we watch your channel and Shotgun Dave's channel, and it's especially, and I really like the idea of the proxy races. I just think
Yeah.
it's very cool, and to build something and then see how it performs, as you said when you did with Harry, isn't it, from Home Racing World? It's be nice to see, something that you've actually put a bit of effort into, see how it runs, and maybe make some
And
tweaks for the next one,
and you
whatever.
guys have the capability because you have a switch box. All you have to do is throw it in the analog mode, and the cars
Yeah.
actually run pretty well on a Carrera track. I did
Mm.
it for, like, 3 years before I got a wood track.
Yeah.
I mean, I did scratchable cars, and I ran them on my Carrera track. They ran really good.
Yeah.
With urethane tires, they did real well. Obviously, they're
Mm.
not magnet cars, so, I mean,
No.
you have to run those cars at 10 volts.
Yeah.
If you run
Right.
them at 12, you're gonna crash them. It's just like with any analog car, really, they all run at 10 volts. You can
Yeah.
crank it up to 12 if you wanna do a fast lap thing, but in reality, 10 volts is the ideal.
Yeah.
Anybody you run into, if you unless they're running silicone tires, they may run it to 12 volts because silicone tires do grip better. But in generally with urethane and rubber tires, scratch built and, proxy type races where they tune the NSR car, it's always usually 10 volts.
Okay. Yeah. We
So you
usually
have the
run it.
capability of adjusting that, which is great.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic that you
Mm.
have that because there are some cars that are not chippable, that
Yeah.
you can't chip. And that helps a lot with teaching, Sasha how to tune,
Mm.
which is not hard to do. If
Yeah.
those poly cars, like you mentioned, those poly
Mm.
cars are probably the toughest thing to tune because they're really small. You have to be really delicate. I've done quite a few of them.
Mm.
And once you tune those cars, they run so fantastic, man. Those are fun
They're
cars.
good. They're
You know
beautiful, aren't they? They really
Yes,
are.
they are so detailed. I think Polycar and Slotted,
Yeah.
that company itself, they really, with that vintage type model and Polycar is so awesome. That's why I got all of them. Every time one comes out, I buy it.
That's cool.
So,
Have you got the Lotus 72, the limited edition Jochen Rindt car?
yeah, I have
Yeah.
that one. The
That's
boxed one, right? There's 2 of them that
yeah.
are boxed.
Yeah.
There's
We have the
the single
Ferrari.
wing, the dual wing, and then the single wing's the one that's boxed, and then, I can't remember the names. 'Cause I'm not good at remember the F1 names because 'cause they're some are a little bit difficult compared to, like, NASCAR, Jeff Bodine and, James
Yeah.
Eric. Those are easy names. Some of them, unless they're Hispanic, like, Spanish names because I speak Spanish, so I'll remember
Yes.
those a little bit more. So
By the way, I meant to ask you that as well. So, how do you pronounce your name? It's a bit like everyone calls you
if you
George.
wanna hear my full name, especially the middle name, it's Jorge Abelardo Pineda. That is my name.
Because
But people cannot say that, and here in North Carolina, they like to put your middle name, which is really annoying because there's no
right,
translation for it in
yeah,
English. It's my grandfather's name, but I just tell people, "Call me George." You gotta roll the R. Jorge. If you
Jorge.
can't roll the R, and you're going Jorge. I used to hear that in school.
I
Things
like
like that. I was like, "No, it's okay. Just call me George." If you can't roll the R, or really can't do it, then I'd rather not you hurt your tongue and just call me George. That's
yeah,
the
well,
easiest
it's
way to do.
from where I'm from, obviously we can roll R's, and we're speaking
Yeah, there
Gaelic.
you go.
I just thought I'd ask you that question because I
Yeah, no
assumed
problem.
that's what it was.
Yeah. My parents
Um,
are from El Salvador,
yeah, cool.
so that's Central America. So El Salvador is kinda like the Rhode Island of Central America. It's super
Yeah,
tiny. I think it's smaller than Rhode Island. They call it the heart of Central America. The
yes,
the
it's
country is really tiny.
Yeah,
It's a
it's an
tiny country.
interesting area because we're big into tropical fish. You know, I've studied ichthyology myself, and a lot
Mhm.
of the species of interest are actually Central American based. You
Yep.
know,
But yeah, that's where my parents are from. My mom came here, with papers legally. My
mm,
father didn't and got drafted into the Vietnam War, and he was an American citizen. So I was
right,
born in an army base, so he
yeah,
was in Vietnam when I was born. So I'm like kinda like the product of the Vietnam War of
right.
that era. But yeah, I mean, times are different than, with the way things
Definitely.
are with immigration now.
Yeah, certainly. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Can you please tell us about your favorite scratch built cars and show us some?
Boy, and you see that do you see the track out there full of cars? You sure you got
Yes.
enough time?
Oh, we got the time. If you've got the energy, we
Okay.
got the time.
There's show and tell there, so I got
Yes, gonna put
I
you.
got everything there that certain things I built. I got more. So, probably
Nice.
the car that I really admire the most would probably be the first one I built. And what I'm gonna do here is switch mics, so I hope you could hear me when I switch mics to the can you still hear me there?
Yeah, hear
Yeah.
you perfect.
Okay. So I'm gonna get up, and this is the one right here that I built for the first time for Harry's race. So this is a Carrera GTO body, which
Yeah, I was
at the
gonna
time
say.
I had an extra one, and I made it to
Cool.
simulate a dirt racer. So this is actually makeup. This was my wife's idea to throw
Oh,
makeup in here and then just coat it, and that's why the tires look like they have dirt on it. And this is the stinker chassis build. This is the one I learned how to build chassis from Harry's videos.
yeah.
And this car is by far still one of the fastest cars I've had.
Looks
The interior is just a tray interior that I had and a driver that I picked up.
nice.
And
Like that one.
Yeah.
this is, like I said, this is a really simple, chassis when you follow the video. And
Hmm.
this is a fun car. I mean, you can
What
see
kind of
there's
motors in
dirt
that
all
one?
over it. But I would say this is my favorite one because it's my first one,
Yeah.
and it's the one that
That's
really got me uh, into the community with Harry and Dave and everybody else and you guys.
yeah.
This is what really just started everything. So this
That's
would be
nice.
my favorite, the first one.
That one will
Uh,
always
yeah.
hold a special place.
What's that again?
That one will always hold a special place. You know.
Of course. And I'm sorry I can't hear you because it's the speakers are so dim on this. But
No
you have
problem.
here, these are all 132nd cars, and these are all 125th. Now I've done movie cars. I don't know if you know which one this is, Nighty.
Wow, that's class. That's Christine.
Yes, it is. And
That's
I built this because I don't know, I just wanted to. And this is
nice, isn't
with
it?
the wire
Yeah,
chassis.
nice.
chassis. And I
Awesome.
noticed you had a shirt when you were wearing a shirt doing Dave's. I'm sure you know what that is.
Oh
Oh,
yes, yes I do.
See, this is the thing you could do with scratch building, and I also got Bert in there. His face ain't really painted great, but
That's
these
really
are the
cool.
wheel inserts, the snowflakes. I insert them into 1650 CD design wheels. There's the
Awesome.
chassis. It's got a
Yeah.
smaller motor. I'll probably put a bigger one, but this car right here was something that I built because I've always liked Smokey and the Bandit as a kid,
Yeah, me too.
and so I wanted to build a 125th scale version. I know Carrera makes one, but this is to me I like this one more.
That's cool.
And then there's a lot of other cars, like for example this modified. This is a
Nice.
all brass, so this is could be really delicate if you dump it on the ground real hard.
Mm,
But this is my first modified, and
that's
this is
cool.
made
I
out of
like it.
kit. See the driver in there, if you can see him in there.
Very
Full
nice.
bar.
It's a lot of engine detail as well.
Yeah, and this is called the moon wheels. There's a video that Harry did on how to make moon wheels, and these are upholstery buttons.
Ah, really?
That's all they are, yeah, upholstery buttons from Walmart. And
Huh.
you cut the heads off, and then you you glue them in there, and you have yourself
Mhm.
moons. And you can paint them any color, or
Good
you
idea,
can
isn't
rough
it?
them up, and you can have baby moon wheels. This is the whole thing about scratch building. There's
Yeah.
so much you could do, and like
Yeah.
so many
Like you can build whatever you want. It
Yeah.
Exactly.
doesn't even have to exist.
And then this one is a printed alien. That's the driver.
That's cool, huh?
Oh,
I got him to fit there. And this was
Yeah.
in the hot rod proxy. This one actually won first place for the race. And this car is a fun little car to drive.
It's very
And
cool. I
again,
like the
just
exhausts there.
yeah, like zoomies. And
Yeah.
again, basic chassis, a plate with a guide, and the rails and the motor bracket, and some
Cool.
plates to mount the body. And then this is another one that's modified. This one is made after an article that Harry did. So before videography and everything, if
Yeah.
you look at the Home Racing World main site, there's an article about this. It's called the Dingus Bar Build, and this is kind of similar to that. In this, I've actually bent these up to mimic a frame. I channeled these channels here. I kind of bent the brass. I heated it up and I annealed it, and I was able to bend it on a vise. And this
Nice.
is something based on that. And
That's
of course,
cool.
these are brass pipes, so you make it look, when the driver's exposed. And I cut this all up to make the windows
Nice.
wider. This is all custom cut out and stuff. Car took a little time to make, but it was really fun. And
Yeah,
looks pretty
that's
good.
wouldn't be out of place in Mad Max.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of that. Don't you? And
Yeah.
that is one car I would love to build is the Mad Max Interceptor, but the
Yes.
body for the model kit that Aeroshima makes, it's really expensive. But I do have a die cast one, and I'm thinking of maybe casting that because I'd love to make a Mad Max because I love Mad Max. That's another
Me
thing.
too.
This is my very first beach race builder. So this basically is my first 25th scale car that I built. This is actually after a real driver named the shirtless driver, and I can't remember his dang name now. My mind's slipping here, but this is how it looked like. It was a basic, you know, take it off the showroom floor, put your decals,
Mhm.
yellow lights. But this is a basic chassis, and this is the Jaws motor, and it has a full interior and a full driver. I think it's Florian is his last name, the shirtless racer. They used to call him. He used to race without his shirt, and this is a car that I've had for a long time. That when I
That's
first
cool.
started, and we did the first when I did the first beach racer build that Harry had. So really cool
Nice.
car. And I've done a truck. This is a pickup truck.
Lovely.
Basic
Big
build.
fan of that style as well.
cool.
Yeah, I mean the sky's the limit. It's
Mm.
this one right here. I'm really proud of because this one right here, my grandson built.
Ah, that's
Chassis and everything.
awesome.
I was there and I helped him.
Yeah.
Make sure he was doing it, and he did all the soldering on this, and he did all the painting,
Cool.
and he did the painting of the inside. I did the decals for him
Mm-hmm.
and did the tire decals for him, but he built this car.
Nice looking
It's a
car.
cool looking car. So I mean, it goes to show you anybody can do it.
There you go, Sash.
Of course, this is the H&R chassis beach racer that I'll be sending in because I'm building another one. So this is
Nice.
a Jimmy Johnson car. This is the latest one I built, and this is on an H&R chassis. If you don't want to do
Okay.
scratch building, you could buy these chassis. They're like
Right.
$160, and you can enter one of the beach racers. So I mean, you could also do this if you
Mm-hmm.
want to try this out first with scratch building because this chassis is adjustable. You
Okay.
move these, you can move the whole front of this to fit the body or the wheelbase of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like little Velcro sticks to put the body on, and it's
Yeah,
not
it
really
looks
hard.
tidy enough actually.
You just concentrate on all the interior and all the painting
Mm-hmm.
and the details. This is a Holly Farms one. This is an actual livery of this racer
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson.
I think I've seen a couple of photos of that vehicle before actually.
Yeah, if you look it up, it's probably in there. It's on the internet. So.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Very cool.
And then of course various cars that I built. This one is a real good car right here. This is a Fairlane. This is a resin body.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Cool.
Nice, huh?
grass and wire. This one runs real good. And this is one of my earlier builds. This is one of Harry's resin build bodies that I made, and this one really scoots pretty good still. This is a Camaro.
Nice.
I put the alien head and
Yeah, I like it.
decals and just kind of. Harry put the wheel inserts because I didn't have any, and he did the wheel inserts for me because he figured it needed a little, more detail. And then these are what this is right here. These little dots. Now
Mm-hmm.
they're not. Nobody's gonna know the difference when it's running down the track what it is, but that's actually called the toothpick trick. You get a toothpick with white craft paint, and you
Okay.
dot the tires, and it doesn't
Right.
look any. If you don't want to put a decal, it looks like white letters going down the road.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that
So
on
you make
from the picture there.
exactly. So there's little tips and tricks. This is the last card I entered in this proxy this year for the winner. This is the rattle
Cool.
pan. This is if you see the body's mounted to the pans, but the chassis still is allowed for movement.
Yeah.
So this little rattle pan they call that.
Mm.
And then
Nice.
Dave gifted me this car. This is one of his modifieds. And I
Yes,
got
nice. Well, no,
this is a cool little car.
very cool. Yeah.
And then Harry gave me this one on that track. And this is an old car he's had. So this is a Revell body, which is a Mario
Okay.
Andretti one, and he
Mm-hmm.
built the chassis for it. And this one really flies. This is a fast car. So, and we call it
Cool.
Super Mario because that's what it is, like Super Mario and stuff. But
Is that the People's Champion, that one?
I'm not sure. I think so, but I'm not too certain. This is it's a Revell
Mm-hmm.
body. It was originally a
Yeah.
Revell stock car.
Right.
We made a chassis for it. But I think you're right. People's Champion, I think that's what it is. I'm not too certain. The glass fell loose. I have to pull that up. And then
Nice.
from the slot car corner chassis kit, this is basically what that kit is right here. And I bought a body for it, which is what's available. And this is what the slot car corner chassis kit is in 1/32. That's all the
Cool.
components that came in the kit to put this chassis together.
That's cool.
And then the body is,
That an IROC Camaro?
Camaro, yeah, Atlantis Camaro body. And then this stuff right here is actually on eBay. It's like a mesh you could buy. Like
Right.
the little white letters they put on there, little dots.
Yeah.
Good decals. It's a good running car.
Nice.
I mean, like I said, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And of course, we know this one. So
No, we know that one. Yeah, you did a nice job on the paint on that one.
Yeah. They did. So, I mean, we could go on and on. So I'll kind of cut it there so we don't make it 2 hours. But I mean, there's more scratch build stuff I have,
Yeah.
but it just could really go on.
Nah, thanks for showing us
So
those. It's
I hope that gave you more an idea. As you see, there's more on the wall there, and there's more on another case. And then downstairs, I have a lot of other cars. NSR, Thunder Slot, anything. Except for Scale Auto. There's some things I don't have.
Yeah.
But
How many
I get
cars do you have total? I mean, both, I guess, purchased cars and then also scratch build.
yeah, I kind of go back and forth. Like right now, like tuning this Datsun was fun, and
Mm,
I got this thing to do 2.3 on my track. It's improving
nice.
each time. So I mean, how I tuned that was fairly easy.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about those cars you got to remember is that they don't come perfect. So what I did was I looked at the body, and the tires were rubbing on the body,
Mm,
and it's no big deal. All I did was remove the shims,
yeah.
trued the tires, and kind of make sure they're tucked in.
Yeah.
And then also to make sure that when the chassis moves, they're not bottoming out on the top of the body. Once you've eliminated that, that really removes a lot of resistance out of the car because I think people don't realize that it is rubbing the body and that
Yeah.
causes a lot of resistance, and then the car works harder. But once
Mm-hmm.
you've eliminated that, that thing will handle even better because I could almost go full speed on the throttle around the corner with this, and it zips. So I know you saw a video early on Facebook, but
Mm-hmm.
they're really great cars, and I got a lot of real slots over there. Over there in the if I point the camera, let me see. One sec here.
That's your Revo slot corner.
Yeah, so if you see that corner over there,
Yeah.
see that top right there where all those cars are sitting below the shelf?
Yes.
That's all poly car. That's all brand new slides that I haven't opened. And then there's a Revo section on the bottom. So I mean, I do have quite a few cars that I still need to deal with that I haven't dealt with
Yeah.
because I always, will flip flop to the scratch building and things like that. So it's fun. That's what's fun about the hobby and scratch building because you could go back and forth. So
Yeah, definitely. And how many scratch built cars have you done?
you know, I'd say we're going to about almost to 50 cars. So I
Yeah.
mean, not as much as Dave.
Yeah.
Dave's really good at building a lot of cars. He likes to downplay his skill, but no, he's very skillful in what he does. And that's the thing about him. He likes to go, oh, that's not nothing. Dave's very modest. He's really good at what he
Yeah.
does. And so is Harry. Harry's
Yeah.
another one that the guys have been around for a long time. And I've seen all the old cars that he's talking about that Harry has because I've been to Harry's place.
Mm.
And there's a lot of vehicles there that he's built that are really, really nice. And this is before we had Stock Car Corner really making a lot of
Mm.
stuff that we do now. They had
Yeah.
to really get a lot of repurpose things and just think of things. So there was no really that was really scratch
Yeah.
building there too, where you really grab things and have to engineer it to make it work. So
Yeah. Cool.
Can you give any advice to somebody like me that wants to try scratch building?
only advice is to watch a lot of the videos online, Dave, Harry, myself, and whoever else has done it, and just make the attempt. Of course, have your father's supervision because you are a little bit younger and things can be a little bit you could get hurt, if you're not careful. You get burned. You do use a chemical to put on the brass, which is not good to be having in your hands.
Mhm.
So there's little things, you could do. Painting is another one, aerosol, that's not good to breathe. It's a lot of harmful things you kind of tend to scratch build, but with proper supervision, safety glasses, a mask, you could do it
Yeah.
because you're young. We don't want you to be getting messed up like I have over the
Yeah.
years of inhaling a lot of things that I shouldn't have been inhaling.
Don't do what we did.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would advise to just do it. Watch the videos and stuff. Like I said, Dave, like I remember watching Dave's with you guys, and he said, Dave, there's a lot of videos. He mentioned mine.
Mm.
Dave has some stuff.
Yeah.
Harry's got a lot of things. There's a lot of information on there. You just have to search it out and just watch. It's not very hard, but yeah, watch videos and practice soldering. I even have videos on, kind of how to solder a little and go for it. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Cool.
What's your favorite slot car brand, and what are your favorite slot cars you bought, and how many did you buy?
Hmm. Well, thanks to my wife, who's very nice to let me buy things. Honestly, I think the scratchable cars are the best thing to do. That's at the top of my list because, again, Sasha, like you said, you can't buy any of those things. Those things are a unique piece.
Mm.
Now, for factory cars that come out, you have a lot of them. There's NSR, Slotted, Polycar. I have a lot of favorites because I like the type of cars they make.
Yeah.
Polycar is probably one that I really am near and dear to because of the vintage F1. If they didn't make any vintage F1s, I probably wouldn't be picking Polycar, but because they're making those cars and the way they're detailing are just so beautiful that I take the time to tune them, and those are probably one of my favorites.
Mm.
Thunder slots are pretty fun. They don't take much to tune.
No.
Adjust the front, axle height. I treat the tires and put a little looseness here and there and tape here and there, and off you go. Same with NSRs that way. NSR is another good brand. Of course, slotted. Like I said, a lot of slotted cars. They make a good rubber tire, the G25 compound tire. That's
Yeah.
what I use. I like that compound. Works real well. Revo slots, man. It's good to be in a hobby. There's a lot of good brands. I haven't tried a Scale Auto yet, and I know Raul's been bugging me about to try that in the past before last year. He goes, "You don't got Scale Auto?" I go, "No, I don't." But Sideways is another brand that I have that works really nicely. For the big guys, so Scalextric, the only one Scalextric ones are like are the earlier ones. Harry has given me two of his earlier tuned Scalextric Grand Prix cars, the ones that Dave talked about on his live, and those are really nice. I have them here. They run really well on the track here on the wood track. They're meant for really wood track. Uh, the Carrera brand, the Carrera brand to me, it's the old stuff I like. I have a lot of Carrera stuff downstairs. I don't know if you've seen the wall. That's all. Oh, I lost your sound. Are you still there?
No, it's okay.
There you go. Now you're back.
Back. Can you hear us now?
Sorry, I lost you. So yeah, the Carrera in general, Carrera. You see all that. You guys mentioned 917s. I'm a big 917 fan,
Oh yeah,
and I
same
like
here.
the Carrera and I like the NSR 917s. Those cars are absolutely beautiful,
Yeah.
and they're real cool. So I got a lot of like runners, and then I got a
Mm,
lot of stuff that's still in the box that I
yeah.
keep up on the top. And I have the 124 scale and the
Hmm.
132nd scale, 132nds. I
Yeah.
stopped really collecting Carrera because of the way they've been changing things with their
Hmm.
wheels and stuff. So
Yeah.
I do want to get the NASCARs because if all
They're
else
nice.
fails, I'll just throw a brass chassis under it. But
Yeah.
I mean, the cars are still priced really well.
Mm.
It's just kind of a shame how they don't make spare parts. I
Yeah.
think I know
Definitely.
why they did it because they're trying to cut costs and make it cheaper.
Yeah.
I understand because it's
Mm.
just to them, it's just a toy car.
Yeah.
They're not like the hobby level. Not saying that
Yeah.
their detail isn't, but as
Mm.
far as the service part of it, they don't have that for the hobby level like the other brands do. But Carrera does make a lot of beautiful cars.
They certainly
Scale
do. Yeah.
Electric, that they're okay. Like I
Yeah.
said, the earlier stuff I like, but the only thing I got from them that recently was the Tyrrell, excuse me. I say that wrong. Dave says you're saying that wrong, mate.
The Tyrrell. Yeah.
Tyrrell, not Tyrell. I would say Tyrell, but it's Tyrrell, so I
We
understand.
forgive you.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, that's the one that I got. I like that car, the six-wheel,
It's
formula
an
car.
interesting. It was an interesting design,
Yeah,
and
it was ahead of its time. I thought it was
yeah,
cool. When I saw it as a kid, racing, that's pretty neat. The ones that I like the most livery are the John Player Special. That's
they're
my favorite
beautiful,
livery.
aren't they?
Yeah.
It's a
I know a
great
lot
livery.
of people like Golf, but I think John Player Special and Martini.
Well, we couldn't decide. Martini's an awesome livery, and actually,
Yes.
the silver
Yeah.
917 Martini.
I
That's
have one of those with the
same
yellow.
here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're gorgeous. I mean, it's like,
There is. We have a sideways car in there actually, and it's half John Player, half Golf livery.
yeah, I've seen that's a
Beautiful.
Lancia. I have the Lancia John Player version of it, not all John Player. But yeah,
Mm,
that's some of those cars are really cool looking. The Lancia is a nice car.
mm,
It's a real beautiful car, and like again,
yeah,
sideways makes really nice details. The wheels and everything. They're a really nice looking car. Then you have Fly too. You can't forget Fly. Fly was the reason why I believe from what I was told from a historian, I'll leave it at
mm.
that. Why everything changed, how a lot of these soccer companies started realizing we got to work on detail
Yeah,
because Fly was one that was great at when they started representation of the boxes, the
yeah,
art, and then the cars
mm,
themselves. They're gorgeous. Even
yeah,
though the rest of it was garbage, they
mm,
didn't care. You could work your way around the garbage and make it work, but they
yeah,
were gorgeous. And that's what I think got other hobby cars to go, "Oh, we better do something about this so they can just gonna be buying Fly cars." But Fly
yeah,
was the one that really, I think, really woke everybody up to start really concentrating on the details of
yeah,
the finish of the car. And Revoslot is one that's like you said, that Datsun and all the other cars, I have
mm.
Corvettes too that I haven't opened. The cars are just fantastic. The
We
detailing
have
is
them here as well.
yeah,
Too
you
many.
do.
We're getting in the same situation. It's
Yeah.
just chatting to various people, and when you get to a point of where you have a certain amount of cars, and then you're running new cars all the time, and we've got so many, like Fly you were talking about. We bought a big lot, like one of our earliest videos, and there was Fly in there, the GB track version of Fly, and Revell. There's cars in there, and we haven't even looked at them. They're sat on the shelf, and they look nice, but when you've constantly got stuff then that you're either reviewing, or you're running cars, or you're having fun with certain things, you sometimes have to go back then and think, all right, well, what we were just talking recently, and I was saying, let's just let's do some videos of some cars we already have that we've just not given some attention to, and have it maybe run them against each other, that
Yeah.
kind of
Well, the Fly ones you'll have to work on because when Harry, he told me, "I'm gonna because he had a couple of extras, so I'm gonna
thing. Mm,
send you something." He sent me a 917. It
right,
was the white one with the little scattered. I can't remember who the livery was, but
right.
and he was right. Yeah, he would call it bubblegum gears. When I got that car and I turned the wheel, the gear went. the ring gear. I was like, what the heck? It broke right there. And he told me this is what we had to do. We had to get, gears. We had to get wheels that were straight, retire it. And there's articles on, again, I always beat the dead horse of home racing world, but on the main site, there are old articles on how to tune your fly cars back then. And you should see those articles. They're very interesting to read. And then now the stuff we have will replace that. What do you use? And it makes it even better. But I did one. I did a video on them. It was a 917 fly car. It was a lot of fun doing that because you got to really learn how to work around things that, like, gosh, how the heck did they build these? The Spanish didn't care. It's a beautiful car. Who cares if it doesn't run? They care about the appearance of it. But that's why people will like, tuning flight cars and rebuilding them. I mean, because they're worth it. The potties, again, the details are so beautiful. So it's worth the effort and the learning experience. But I learned a lot from that. So Harry, that's the things that kind of Harry teaches me.
You should.
There you
I
go.
think it's just me.
Is
You
it
back
okay?
again?
That's okay. I hear you now. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. It's okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was me at first. I was like, I know everything's
Yeah.
working.
And can you hear me okay, or am I
Yes, I
popping in
can.
and out?
I can hear you guys.
Yeah, okay. That's
I
cool.
think it's just because mine keeps turning
Yeah.
off.
We
Yeah, no problem. That happens.
we have a beautiful auto art Lamborghini Gallardo.
I
Oh.
remember the video you did on that.
A terrible thing, but it's if there was ever a donor for a decent chassis, that's probably it,
See, here's your alternative to that.
Mm,
If you guys do get into scratch building, and I've
yeah.
done that before. So the Carrera cars, the NASCARs are actually USAC cars. That's how
Okay.
they were able to get around that, because the they call them NASCAR because they were actual NASCAR drivers that race another league called the USAC. I can't
Yeah.
remember the acronym for it. And
Okay.
that's why they got those liveries and were able
Mm,
to, you know, sell them. And the person who got those going is
right.
Harry. Harry
Yeah,
Wise
okay.
was involved in that.
Right.
He was sending them the Pikes Peak one. It was funny. The Pikes Peak car. Remember that Carrera car? It was red, white, and
Yes.
blue. That's the
Yes.
Pikes Peak, hill climb car. It's not really
Yeah.
a USAC car.
No.
So he told me when he went talked to the people in Germany, they wanted, another car, and then they picked that one because they thought America, red, white, and blue. And he
Yeah,
was like, "Okay, I guess if you want a Pikes Peak car, go ahead." But they
fair enough.
saw that one because they liked the colors because of the United States colors, red, white, and blue,
Sure.
and they went with that car. So,
Yeah,
and
right.
there's a lot of details and the things that he told me and how he got those, got those cars in there so that, and
Yeah.
those are the oldest running molds around because they still make cars out of them.
Yeah, right. Yes, that's cool. Interesting to hear the background sometimes to some of
Yep.
these things,
We've been watching your RTS track builds, which is very interesting. Are you happy with how it's going?
Um, I would say yes, very much. Now, the track that Kevin has that he's been putting pictures, that's not my track. That's a prototype track. So what I did was I showed him my layout downstairs, and his partner named Johan, who's partners with Kevin,
Yeah.
is an actual civil engineer. So he actually built bridges. I mean,
Right.
real bridges, real
Yeah.
buildings, structures. So he does a lot of the computer stuff and the CAD drawings and the structures because when you look at Racetrack Scenics um, designs, they're like an actual structure, and when you put them together, they're strong like an actual structure. You could grab them and they don't like fold up or break real easily. And I gave him my design, and then he came back, and this is the collaboration with Johan and Kevin. So, Kevin, send me this. He says, Johan wanted to do it this way. What do you think? Do you want some changes? And I would go back and forth. Yeah, I'd like this done, this and that. But he really worked with me, and then we came up with a final design, which I'm happy with, and that's what you see on the photos on the Racetrack Scenics, Facebook page. That's the layout that we came out with, and that one's going to be like a standard layout that if somebody wants to buy it, they don't have to, you know, pay the fee because when you want a custom track built with certain design, you give them a design. There's a design fee for that, and that's where one of the cost goes, and it's actually It sounds expensive, but it's fairly reasonable because you're having a designer actually design your track. But, some people, sometimes they get turned off on that, but they don't realize that it takes time to do all that. And if you look at design fees for other stuff, it's a lot more expensive. But that track right there is going to be a standard. So if you want to order, it's going to be, I think he's going to call it A51. So if you want to get that track, you could get that. I think your sound dropped off again. I hear you. But it's going well.
It's just
There
my
you go. It's going
apologies.
real well. Kevin is a really, really slot car enthusiast.
Right.
He cares about the customer. That's
Mhm.
why the people you see up there on my screen, Slot Car Corner, Slot Invasion USA,
Yeah.
Racetrack Scenics, Home Racing World Day, those are the people I support. I support the
Yeah.
businesses of Slot Car Corner,
Yeah.
Slot Invasion USA, and Racetrack
Mhm.
Scenics because I believe in the products,
Yeah.
and they're really good people. But Kevin is a very passionate person.
Yeah.
Uh, he's very smart. He's always designing on the fly. As far as the Racetrack Scenic one, so the track, he, if you look on the first video, he did a first design, which is the tongue and groove. So
Yes.
he wanted to do elevations, and
Mhm.
what was happening is when he was doing elevations, the tongue and groove were starting to pull apart because you're
Yeah.
stretching the track.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
then he went back. This is the thing about Kevin. He
Mhm.
goes back and he gets another idea, and he has Johan, you know, and they made the dovetails, so this way it doesn't pull apart. And that's how
Yeah.
Kevin is because he'll do it right there on the fly, like on certain things that I have. He goes, "Wait a minute, let me add this," and then
Yeah.
he'll add it. He'll come up with an idea. He'll throw it on the computer, and it'll,
Yeah.
he experiments that way, and it's a big improvement on the product. And
Yeah.
it's
The
like
dovetail's a
constant
great idea.
development. So this track is a constant development
Yeah.
of, improving things. My version hasn't been cut yet. It's,
Uh-huh.
hopefully this week, but I wanna do the test track because 'cause I'm excited about that,
Yeah.
and, but it's going real well. I mean,
Mm.
I'm gonna go there tomorrow and,
Cool.
check more stuff out. I've been doing some stuff for him, like the display case, staining it
Yeah.
for him. I want him to have it for photos because it's not very hard to stain it. You're
Yeah.
basically just dyeing it,
Yeah.
and you
Sure.
put it together, and then you could, put your gloss coat or leave it without gloss coat, however you wanna do it. But it
Yeah.
opens up a lot of different things you could do with the product. It's paintable, it's
Yeah. That's cool.
stainable,
Yeah.
it's, furniture grade wood,
Mhm.
MDF, excuse me. It's
Yeah.
not, so example, hanger 1 is just regular MDF you buy at Home Depot. The
Yeah.
stuff that he gets is a higher quality because they use it to make furniture. And of
Yeah.
course, you want a real good quality furniture grade stuff,
Mhm.
and that's what he gets. And,
Yeah.
the stuff is it's really it's a really well built product,
Yeah.
and the track, I'm happy with it. I think it's gonna go great. I'm looking forward to transitioning downstairs over to, the road course, and it's gonna be a whole different thing. A lot of the Area 51 stuff will go away, but I'll probably add later on. Like the mountain, it won't be enough room for all that, but I could always redesign things so I could, add it back in there. It's just that it's not gonna be as prominent with the mountain and, it's changing a little, involvement in the hobby, as I say, because I have nothing against digital, and I tend to keep my digital set. I'm just gonna box it up, put it away, because I already have people ask me, "Are you gonna sell it? Hey, how much you want for it?" It's like, "Nah, I'm gonna hold it on for my kids or my grandkids, so it's something that they could, here, try this out."
Ah, okay. Yeah. I was saying we've ended up with two entire sets pretty much, and a lot more because you get a set, then you add to it, then we went and we got the Omni slot box, which is great, and so we've got a spare CU, so we've got an entire set unused, and probably three more sets worth of track in
Yeah,
the
see, you're like Kevin. Kevin's got a ton of that.
yeah.
We can
He
like
built a
make
big layout.
3 slot car
Oh
tracks.
yeah, we
And
could
Yeah.
take over
It
the house
adds up,
too.
when you collect and collect, it's, you start just accumulating stuff, and that's how
Yeah,
this hobby's been. That's why we moved to this house. This is my wife's idea to get this house because she said, "You could have 2 rooms for your slot car," and I thought she was nuts. Are you kidding?" And then she said, "You could have it downstairs." I go, "Why would I put a slot car track down there?" But she really pushed the agenda and told me, "You know what? Why don't we go back there?" Because I really didn't like this house. Why don't we
Yeah.
go back to the house? You find things that you see that are good, and I'll try to be more objective. I find things wrong with it. But when I walked in probably the second time to the house, I really thought about it, and I thought, "Man, I'm crazy. I have a real good woman that's telling me, 'Hey, you could have 2 slot car rooms,'"
You
you
keep her.
know? And she's a great person, and,
Yeah.
I thought that was really just really cool. So, yeah, I mean, that's again, from the first house we had, which I liked my first house, it was just 1 room. If you look at the earlier videos, it was 1 room that I have Area 51 Raceway.
Yeah.
And then now you accumulate more and, it's crazy. So I can see what you're saying. You get more track and more stuff. And I've seen your guys' collection on the bottom of the tractor. There's a lot there. I was looking at the video today. I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff there.
A lot of
So,
cars and growing, and sorry about that. I think
no, that's okay.
maybe
That's technology that happens.
Ash's mic maybe isn't charged. I'd say that's probably what
It's
it is.
probably oh,
Yeah.
great. It's off now. There it goes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
No,
Technical
don't worry
difficulty.
about it.
Yeah,
I
we've
mean,
got
it's technology.
a lot of stuff coming in regularly, and you before you know where you are, you've got a lot of cars, and a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
You look at stuff, you go, "Wow, really
Yeah,
got that much stuff."
but it's cool. I mean, it's as you say, it's ever evolving. I mean, like the layout there, as you talk about good women, and my wife suggested, oh, why don't you do an extension, a test track extension to your layout? And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do that. So we're going to do that, and it's great then when somebody is encouraging in those areas too, because it allows you to enjoy it and not be concerned about taking over the.
Yeah, the whole point is the enjoyment part. If you enjoy it, don't do it for everybody else and that you're doing videos for. You do the videos because you enjoy it.
I have a question for you. So, what is your favorite part about the slot car hobby?
Um,
What's the main thing? Or what's the thing you enjoy most about the whole thing?
really interacting with Harry and Dave.
Yeah,
That's why we got that coin, the Three Amigos. That was from Dave from Slot R that gave us that nickname.
yeah.
And then
Very cool.
Dave had made the image. Of course, I'm the short little, guy. Of course, appropriate since I'm fat and I'm there with the controller and the little face. And
I like that one.
Steve Sawtell from Slot Car Corner saw that and he got a kick out of that.
Yeah,
And yet we had decals made. That's where that came from. So we have decals and a little plaque called Three Amigos Approved. It's just
yeah,
one of those little things that just came about as a fun thing. But
yeah.
again, it's not because we're trying to be, superstars. It's just we're having
No,
fun.
that's
Just
what it's about.
yeah. There's no the drama part about it and all the other things. It's funny because I try not to be rude when people comment on stuff, but probably the thing I don't like the most is when I'm making a video about building scratch building, and then you get comments on how expensive the tools are or this is, and it's like, well, I mean, you could go collect stamps.
Yeah,
You're back there, yeah. So you could do that, or I mean, collect flowers. I don't know. I mean, everything costs money when you're in the hobby. So if you're
yes,
gonna look at the hobby as well, that that tool's expensive. I mean,
yeah,
how much? Don't build, don't do it. I mean, I don't encourage it. Buy
yeah,
just regular cars, slot cars from eBay or from the manufacturers, and tune them that way. Scratch building is not for everybody. There's a cost to it. The parts, the tools. Once you get the tools and accumulate it, you're done. You don't have to buy them again. But when
true.
you're starting out, you have to accumulate those things in order to achieve what you're trying to do, which is build a scratch built car. So,
Yeah, and then inevitably, when you accumulate the things you want,
yeah.
you then decide, I need something better for this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always happening. Sound dropped off again. It's always happening like that.
Yeah,
You always
we'll
go
have to.
through that.
Well, I think we'll have to leave it there, Dave. We're getting on in time anyway, but I think Sasha's microphone is dying, unfortunately.
No problem.
This is real life, It's stuff
Yeah,
happens.
it's unscripted.
Yes, yes, it is. appreciate you coming on and taking the time. I know we were been talking about you coming on for quite a while, but you know, as you said, when it comes to the the hobby and everything is lucky to have you guys. Yeah, it keeps.
What I do, you know, what I do suggest real quick, because it's already been an hour and 6 minutes. What I do suggest that Sasha does is you guys talked about that about the kid level. I think you should use her, get a small track, and introduce kids to that, and then branch out for her own section of stuff. See, because kids are gonna be more gravitated towards kids their age instead of old farts like us playing, well, I'm 56 and I'm playing with cars, The kid level's more you need to get at, I think, and with
Yeah.
her doing that would
Well,
help
we've
all
done
of
it.
us, you know?
Opened up a channel, DNA Slot Cars, with Sasha, so she can. It's been apologies for the sound difficulty.
No, that's all right, it's all good. That happens to me sometimes.
Yeah, these things
Not all
happen.
perfect.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.